So smash the like button. Don't forget. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic. And that is the Steph versus LeBron topic. I know that this seems probably a little weird to do this now, and I felt like I sort of missed this. I caught it, and I didn't really pay much attention to it because of everything going on in just the sports world. There was a lot going down. The LeBron versation, LeBron and Stephen A. Smith were battling and beefing, and just all these narratives were coming out that we had to keep talking about the mind the game nonsense, which, that's not going to stop. But I just kind of let this topic sort of gloss over me, and we didn't really address it. But a couple of weeks ago, I would say maybe a week or two ago, perhaps, Paul Pierce, he was on the Speak Show with Joy Taylor, Rick Bucher, Keyshawn Johnson, and they were chatting, and Paul Pierce just sort of put this out there, and he said flat out, things are going to get uncomfortable for LeBron fans and the LeBron GOAT debate if Steph Curry is to win a fifth ring. How can we say that LeBron is a GOAT if Steph Curry has clearly been more dominant in the LeBron era? If Steph Curry was unanimous MVP and the supposed GOAT didn't get one MVP vote in his prime, LeBron was still in his prime when Steph Curry was given the unanimous MVP. And for him not to get one single vote and to be called the GOAT, it's just like, when did we ever dispute who the best player in the league was for a Michael Jordan, a Magic Johnson, for any of these people that were the all-time greats? They were the best while they were playing. So it begs the question, is Steph Curry the greatest in the LeBron James era? Is he really the GOAT of this generation, if we want to use that term? Is he the greatest player that we've seen play since Michael Jordan retired, since Kobe Bryant retired? I do want to play some sound of what Paul Pierce said and the discussion surrounding that. It is a little bit long, so bear with me, but it is a good discussion that I want us to have here today. And I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So let me play it for you, and then we'll react. Here's the thing, and it's funny because Keyshawn Johnson goes on to make a joke about LeBron needing to retire and then to go off and play hockey and then come back. But that won't work, right? Because LeBron James probably won't be successful in hockey, and then he'll come back to the NBA and be even older. And we just all know that LeBron cannot deal with not being the center of attention in the NBA for even 1 second. So there's no way he's retiring and coming back. And plus, I suspect that if he retires, there's going to be some different things exposed about him, and he needs to be playing for as long as he can to avoid that and sort of continue to try to silence people as they try to continue to expose him. But my thoughts on Steph versus LeBron and what Paul Pierce is saying, honestly, I think that this should have already been a discussion, and it has been. It has been a debate. It's been a debate as who's been the greatest player in this era. For years, for months, there's been a debate if Steph Curry has had more success than LeBron James, and he's already had more success. So just to be clear, Steph Curry won 4 titles in 8 years. Steph Curry has created a dynasty. LeBron has created super teams. LeBron has never created a dynasty. He's never been a part of a dynasty. He's never stayed on a team long enough to create one. He's never built anything. What LeBron does is he manufactures, he orchestrates. Steph Curry stayed with the Warriors. They continued to draft properly. They continued to be a respectable organization. And he worked with the players that he had there. Yeah, he did have Kevin Durant at some point. And yeah, his titles are diluted as well, but so are LeBron's. Guys from this era, to me, they're compared to guys from this era. And we can completely compare Steph Curry and LeBron James one-on. To me, these are the comparisons that we need to be having, not LeBron James and Michael Jordan. They have nothing to do with one another. Steph Curry being compared to Magic Johnson, it's not analogous. And it's funny because, Snoop Dogg goes to First Take and he's chatting with the First Take team there, and he's talking about Steph Curry being compared to Magic Johnson. And I do want to play this for you guys because I think it's interesting. Let me see if I have the soundbite.
Snoop, you were making a case on the show for possibly surpassing Magic as the best point guard of all time. This is Steph Curry. Let's flash back to that.
He may be the greatest point guard of all time. And Magic Johnson is my guy.
Magic Johnson is your guy.
I said he may be.
Maybe. You just said, hold on, to stop the person. Snoop Dogg a Lakers fan,
Yes.
lifelong Lakers
Yes.
fan, a personal friend of Irvin
That's
Magic
my
Johnson.
guy.
That's your guy. You just said on national television he may be the best. Steph Curry may be the best point guard ever.
I say this: Magic is the greatest point guard of all time. I said Steph may be getting close to challenging that. You know the way they speak of Jordan and LeBron, and they always have that conversation. They should start speaking on Magic and Steph because Magic got 5 championships, Steph got 4 championships, and Steph got a few more years left. He ain't getting one this year though. But you know later on down the road he may get one. He didn't ran up on the big bed this week.
Okay, that was 2023. So prognostication skills, right? He didn't win the championship this year, but if he wins his 5th and would he pass Magic as the best point guard if he ties him with 5 rings?
I don't think the 5 rings just automatically passes him up. I think the fact that he shoots threes and Magic didn't shoot threes, and he's got more action at points and overall game. And I don't think neither one of them played like great defense. So I can't really say that they both was on both sides of the ball. But I just feel like the way Steph has changed the game. He changed the whole game of basketball. That says a lot. When I played, you would never run to the basket and throw it out for a 3-point. You would shoot the layup or the coach would take you out the game. Steph got everybody in the world thinking they can shoot threes, including big men. And that's all because of Steph. When he started popping in and bopping, coming down court, doing his thing, putting in the bed, he changed the game, but he's a point guard, but he shoots like a shooting guard. That's why I feel like he's close to Magic, because he's got that other level of changing the whole narrative of basketball like Magic did when he came out of Michigan State to the NBA. He changed the whole narrative of the NBA.
That's an interesting sentiment. Mad Dog, you're our historian over here. To that, you say what?
I think Magic is better. And I think because he's 6'8", that's where he changed the game.
6'9".
So he's a big point guard. They wasn't big point guards like Magic before he came in. Here's what I would say that I like Magic better. Magic could dominate a game without scoring.
Thanks.
Curry can't do that. Curry doesn't, he doesn't dominate a game scoring 10 points. You saw it. He saw it. I saw it. Many a game, Magic scored 2 baskets, but he had 13 assists, 12 rebounds. The game emanated through him, the flow of the game. So the fact that, and I tell you something else on Magic, you'd love to be his teammate and play with him. He came down to the schoolyard and you were playing pickup. You'd like to be on Magic team. He'd get you a million layups.
I played with him in an All-Star game and scored 25 points.
There you go.
I'm going to rebuke my statement. You can teach an old dog a new trick. Magic is the greatest.
There we go. Get out of here.
Well, listen, here's the thing that when we have this discussion about a Magic Johnson versus a Steph Curry, here's what we got to understand. You got to dissect this. Magic Johnson is the greatest quintessential point guard in NBA history. What do I mean by quintessential? You have a situation where people look at a point guard, old school cats and others, about being a facilitator. What did you create for others? Okay, that is their definition of a point guard. Not somebody that's just at the point guard spot because you're the smallest guard in the backcourt and you know what, but you're really a shooting guard. They look at Magic Johnson as a pure prototypical quintessential point guard. You facilitate and create opportunities for other people around you to excel. It's different for Steph Curry. Steph Curry is a scorer and the greatest shooter God has ever created. Here's where it gets interesting and here's where the actual debate kicks in. When you think about a point guard, even though Magic did it in a completely different way than Steph Curry, who has the greater impact on an offense? Who greater impacted a defense and how they game plan against you? If you went up against Magic, you had to keep your head on a swivel because the brother was the greatest passer. He was 6'9", he could look over most defenses. He could lead a fast break. He could rebound and start the fast break himself. And you had a Worthy on one wing, a Byron Scott on another, a Cooper behind you, Rambis occasionally, Michael Thompson occasionally. And then when things went awry, okay, let's pull it back out and get the ball Kareem. For the Scott, that's what you did. With Steph Curry, it's gotten to a point where it just ain't Draymond. Nobody does it better than Draymond. But it's not just Draymond anymore. Everybody. It doesn't matter. You got guys that have open threes and they still know to give it to Steph because you're shocked when he misses. When this brother shoots and some defender's trying to block the shot, I've seen guys miss blocking the shot and say, damn, without even turning around to look at the basket because they know it's going in. That's how lethal he is. His movement without the basketball, his range, his ability to shoot from anywhere in the court, left side, right side, top, 30, 40, 50 feet. You literally have to guard Steph Curry the second he steps past half court. So which is the greater impact? That's the only debate about Magic.
And what's your answer to that? What's the greater impact from your vantage
I
point?
think Steph has had a greater impact against defenses because of his shooting range, but Magic Johnson is the greatest quintessential point guard that has ever lived.
I don't think Steph would have shot like that in the 80s. Defenses wouldn't have let him move around.
That's what they said. That's what they
He
tell me
couldn't be all that moving around, man.
They said
They would have bopped.
I've had cats. I won't say one Hall of Famer said to me, Steph Curry would not have averaged more than 17 or 18 a game when we played. I said, how could you say that? He said, simple. We would have hurt him. He said, well, you got to run him through those picks. He's going to feel something.
Gotta leave it there. But it's already a compliment that it's even a debate, clearly.
Yes.
Snoop, what do you think that your Steelers should do? You think they should take Shador?
Okay, so I do want to address Steph versus LeBron, but before I do, I want to talk about why this Steph Curry to Magic Johnson is not analogous. And it is because Steph Curry is just listed as a point guard, but he doesn't play like one. So when we see that he doesn't play like a point guard, what are we even doing to compare him to Isaiah Thomas? Isaiah Thomas was way better than Steph Curry as a point guard, but he obviously wasn't a better shooter. He wasn't a better scorer. He wasn't a better Magic Johnson was not a better scorer than Steph Curry. So clearly we shouldn't be comparing, and we really need to stop comparing the eras. It is annoying. It is ridiculous. Steph Curry, I don't believe he would have made it back then as a point guard. He would have been Del Curry. I don't really see what the difference is. People were not allowed to shoot three-pointers. It didn't matter how good of a shooter you were. It just didn't matter. If you were shooting three-pointers when you weren't supposed to, you were taken out of the game. So Magic Johnson, and it's funny because we talk about impact. Steph Curry has had a major impact on today's game, but Magic Johnson still impacts today's game. He still does. All the way from the 80s, he's still impacting players today. 6'8", 6'9", bringing the ball down, playing the point guard role. Yeah, he played center. He was listed as a center, but he played point guard. Did he ever play as a center? Of course he did. But the truth of the matter is we see guys like Jokic bringing the ball down, 7 feet tall. We've seen Kevin Durant play the point guard. Not very successfully, in my opinion, but we've seen it. We are seeing bigger guys play the point guard role, and all of that is because of Magic Johnson. Anytime you see a big guy, anybody who's over 6'6", running the ball down, that's because of Magic Johnson. And people don't want to give credit for that. They don't want to remember how guys from the past actually still impact today's game. Magic Johnson paved the way for the point forward. Magic Johnson paved the way for guys that were going to bring the ball down the court. He made it okay for anybody, no matter how tall you are, no matter how big or small you were. If you could grab the ball and run it, if you could run with pace, then you were able to do that. It didn't matter who brought the ball down, but that was because of Magic. Now, what Steph Curry has had to do, yeah, I mean, he has had to make a name for himself, and he made it so that the everyday guy could play basketball. But what happened is that we changed the league for Steph Curry. And so now, like, again, we took out the physicality from the NBA. We removed it. And now they're bringing back, they're creating an emphasis on defense, but it seems that they're only doing it in the playoffs, right? And Steph Curry, he's flourishing in today's league and today's era, but I don't know that he would have made it back then. I just don't know. I don't know that he would have been able to take those amounts of threes in a game. A guy shooting 12 threes, I don't think so. Just don't think he'd be able to do that. He'd have to be like really good at driving in the lane, drive and kick like that. He would have had to do those kinds of things. He would have also had to get a lot tougher, a lot faster. His first couple of years in his career, Steph Curry was very injury prone. He might not have made it out of those injuries. He might have been cut from the team if he had been injured that many times upon entering the league. So I don't like the comparison of Steph Curry to Magic Johnson. I love the comparison of Steph Curry to LeBron James. They play in today's league together. And what I love about that comparison is that whose game has LeBron James influenced? I'll wait. Who is playing like LeBron? I only really see maybe one guy, two, three guys playing like LeBron, and it's more so the style at which that the offense runs through. It's the style of play where you're able to gouge points, rebounds, and assists from the rest of the team, where you're able to allow for only you to look good. You're like the lone warrior on the team. Even though there's 5 people on the floor, you are the lone warrior. You're getting all the points, all the rebounds, and all the assists because you're bringing the ball down. You're a ball stopper. You're holding the ball until you can either score the ball or get an assist that you're credited to. Then you're hanging out, waiting for the long rebound. And that's how they're racking up these triple doubles. And Luka Doncic plays that way. LeBron and Luka have been sort of canceling each other out. They barely, the two of them on the floor, they almost never get a triple double while they're both on the floor, which is interesting, right? Because they play the same way. Then you have Nikola Jokic. He plays very similar. He's gouging all the points, rebounds, and assists. The ball starts with him. And if he can't score it, then he's going to pass. He does pass it a little faster than Luka and LeBron. He's not holding the ball for the entire shot clock like the way that they do. He is really distributing. However, he's still gouging the points, rebounds, and assists because he's got to be responsible for so much on the floor. Anyhow, I think that Steph Curry is the greatest in the LeBron James era. Unanimous MVP, 4 titles in 8 years. And so what? He orchestrated his titles in a way where he picked up Kevin Durant, right? So that was some player movement that he was responsible for. He recruited another superstar to his team. But again, 4 titles in 8 years, that is more impressive than LeBron's 4 titles in 20 years. It's just more impressive to me. But what do you guys think? Is Steph Curry the greatest in the LeBron James era? Steph Curry is the guy that has allowed for anybody, a guy who can't, who barely has an NBA body. Like think about all the guys that are in the NBA currently because of Steph Curry. Just think about it. Would there be a way for Trae Young to be here if not for Steph Curry? Would Jalen Brunson have a job if not for Steph Curry? I don't know. I just don't know. Undersized guards are playing this game. They have been dominant. So Steph Curry made it possible for the everyday man, a guy who's 6'3", a guy who's 6 feet, to play, be successful, believe in themselves that if they just shoot enough threes, they can win. That's what he's been able to do. So what do you guys think? I see some more Lakers comments. Lakers, I think, will be out in 6 games. To me, they don't have an elite big man to play defense in the middle there, and they're getting exposed by the T-Wolves. Couldn't agree more. Has Luka lost some weight yet, at least for the playoffs? No, I think he's still a lard ass. I think he's still pretty fat. From what I can tell, Luka looks just like this still. Okay? That's a Lakers uniform. I didn't see too much weight loss. But, also what I love about Steph Curry is I don't see him putting his kids in the league. I know he's mainly got daughters, but I mean, at least they're not, who knows? Maybe they'll grow up and play with him too. Because we do have, because think about who we do have on the Lakers. We've got Bronny there. He's just taking up a roster spot, a qualified, from a qualified player, right? Combined, what were they, a minus 70? Look at them. Father-son duo. This is what LeBron James is responsible for. Steph Curry changed the game. He made everybody a shooter. He even made LeBron James change his game. So the fact that LeBron James had to change his entire game to be more like Steph Curry, I'm going to go with Steph Curry being the greatest in the LeBron James era. It should be the Steph Curry era. He should be considered the greatest in this era, in the modern day basketball. He completely changed the game. He inspired hundreds of players currently in the NBA to shoot high. He inspired every team, 28 teams, to shoot volume 3-point shots. He's the greatest in the LeBron James era, period. The crazy thing about this is that if Shannon Sharpe were to get a hold of this topic, he would be emphatically probably crying over LeBron James and how there's no way that Steph Curry could be considered the GOAT of this era. There's no way we could put Steph Curry over LeBron James after he came back being down 3-1, that he never should have been down 3-1. But again, we celebrate losing and coming back from losing, right? But yeah, Shannon Sharpe, he would be vehemently against this. He would be seriously debating this and screaming at the top of his lungs. And, it brings me to my next topic, Shannon Sharpe, who, pretty much he is at this point, he's cooked, he's done for, he's pretty much a disgrace, television, YouTube content personality. And it is sad because we've had a lot of really great content from Shannon Sharpe. He's being accused of some pretty egregious things.